Hi everyone, this is Rishti and welcome back to my YouTube channel from My Reading Corner. Today I'm going to tell you about the 4 books that got me back into reading. The reason why I'm saying back into reading because even though I used to read a lot as a kid, I remember getting one book issued from library every week. And funny thing, I used to finish that book in 2 days, but my library had a rule that I could get another book in another 7 days. So the anguish, the real struggle that I would feel for those 5 days. I would reread them, but then again, I had to wait. But I remember reading books like Matilda, Princess Diaries, Famous Five. I read all those books during my second to fifth grade. I remember up until then, yeah. Then gradually life happened. I grew up and started working, and I lost touch with my reading. But during COVID, when I ran out of options to pick up habits, I just looked back at my bookshelf. Yes, I did had a bookshelf. I did not give up on my bookshelves. So I looked back at my bookshelf and I thought, why should I not pick reading again? And for this time around, I was not sure which book exactly I want to pick up because back then I used to read kid kids book, right? So which is too old for me now, but I thought that I should pick up books that could hold my interest because right now when I was trying to pick up a book or something, I used to read Daniel Steele a lot on and off. So when I tried picking up those books, they were not, intriguing me to hold on to my reading. So I decided that I should read the cheesiest romance book I could ever find. Yes. And I just wanted something to pull me back into reading. So thought that why don't I go and buy new books? And for my new purchases, I wanted to find a book with the most cheesiest cover, sorry, with the most cheesiest cover that I could think of. And I then came across Love Hypothesis by Ali Hazelwood. Yes. So I'm talking about back in 2020 or 21, and this book was a most hype book. Like it even has the sticker called TikTok sensation, even though I did not get the reference from TikTok, but I got this from book Instagram. Yeah, maybe from there I got the suggestion. And yeah, this is actually my only book and first book with a couple kissing on the cover, and that was the reason I got it. Yes. See, again, I wanted something to pull me back towards reading, so I thought that romance is the best option. And also I was watching K dramas, so I was going through a pretty hitting romance phase. So yeah, for this book follows a story about Olive and Adam. Both are scientists. Both uh, Olive was a third year PhD candidate, and she also has a best friend Anne, who was also a scientist, and she wanted to make Anne believe that she is able to date someone, and she is in a fake relationship. Not a fake, but she's in a relationship with someone. Obviously, her best friend doesn't believe that, so she jumps on the first opportunity to make her believe. I was going to say jump on the guy, but not exactly jump on the guy. She jumps on the first opportunity to make her best friend believe that she's dating someone and kisses the first guy that she saw. And guess who's that guy? Adam, a 6 foot young hot shot professor. And I believe, if I remember correctly, Adam already got his PhD, so he was her senior. But obviously, there was no rules against that she can't date him. But she kisses him in front of her best friend to make her believe that she is in a relationship. And booyah, they end up in a fake relationship so that her best friend could get off her back. And cutest thing is that they do not realize when that fake becomes real. So yeah, it was a pretty cute, cheesy romance book, and I ended up enjoying it thoroughly. A full 5-star read for me. The tropes that I would give this book would be fake dating, workplace romance, and women in STEM. Like Adam Carlson was a STEManist, a person that supports women in STEM. So a feminist in STEM, hence STEMness. Okay, I don't need to explain it more, but yeah. One more thing that this book introduced me would be Madame Curie. I'm sorry, I know I'm too old to not know this, but this book introduced me who Madame Curie was and how she died. Pretty sad, but yeah. So yeah, that's about it. So for the second book, this is my most important book because it introduced me to my most favorite and important genre and my most favorite world, which is fairy. So let me show you the book first. A Coat of Thorns and Roses by Sarah J. Maas. Now this is a name that one should really know about in the fantasy world. Yeah, I just love this book. And when I was so for my second book, I've had this book for a long time in my bookshelf. I did not purchase this one, but I never read them. It was a packed book set. The book is the first book in a series of 4 books and one novella. That's all I'm going to comment about the number of books involved. I'm not going to say more and hold my tongue from saying more, but yeah. So this is the first book, and it introduce us towards a world, a fantasy world where fae and human live besides each other. I wouldn't say together because they don't live together, but they live besides each other and separated by a wall. So the book follows a character, Farah, who's a huntress. Yeah, who's a huntress, and she's a woman in her 17 to 19 age range. Yeah, I would like to believe that only. Yeah, and she is the sole bread earner for her family, and she goes on a hunt to get food for her family for that day. And she sees a rabbit, and across the rabbit she sees a very large wolf. So obviously, for to protect herself, she kills the wolf and also the rabbit, and then she brings the rabbit home. And post dinner everything, suddenly her like the house barges, and a monster comes in. And guess what? The monster is there to avenge the death of that large wolf, obviously. And that monster comes and he takes away Farah as a prisoner to go live in the Fair Realm. Yeah, the monster was from Fair Realm, and he brought her there as a prisoner because he wanted revenge. That's the story that he said. He wanted a revenge, and she was obviously the sacrificer of the family, so she decided to sacrifice herself without actually thinking that if she leaves, how her family is going to survive, right? But then again, she goes with him, and this story is actually very Beauty and the Beast kind of vibey. Only so that's what happened in first book, like a little bit theme of Beauty and the Beast. But what happens is in the other series is like imagine if Beauty and the Beast did not end only when the prince becomes human again. The story unfolds more and more in the later half of the series. My favorite, okay, I'm not going to comment more on the series, but I once I started reading this, I was an addict. It took me 1 month to finish this book. Can you believe that? I mean, obviously, this book also involved my first book with maps. And obviously I was new to fantasy world, so there were names that didn't know how to pronounce. There were places I didn't know how to pronounce. So what I would do was, while they were explaining places in this book, I would go and read, and I would go come back to the map again, you know and check the realms. Yeah, that's what they're calling the cities there. I would check the realms of there and see. Yeah, I miss it. And obviously it was a 5-star read for me, and a good starter if you want to start something in fantasy world. Yeah, my 2 very special books. But yeah, for my third book, I was okay, not a third book because I obviously finished the others in this series. But for my third book, apart this one, would be another romance. So I got this when I was actually buying The Love Hypothesis. So obviously that's why I'm, putting it as a third. The Spanish Love Deception by Elena Armas. Drum roll. Okay, that's a very lame attempt for drum roll, but yeah. The tropes that I would give this book would be workplace romance, fake dating, and rivals. I wouldn't call it enemies to lovers because they didn't exactly hate each other, but they were rivals. They were the story. Okay, coming back to the story. The story follows the main character, Catalina Martin, a woman with a Spanish heritage, and she needs a date for a wedding back home. She's going to attend a wedding that's back home, and she has told everyone in her family that she's dating someone because her ex is also would be attending that wedding. So she can't go empty-handed and let her family member know that she's sad and lonely. So she is basically telling her best friend about it in her office, and this conversation is overheard by Adam Carlson. Sorry. Adam Carlson was Adam Blackfoot, the 6'4" blue-eyed something. But yeah. Now, Aaron was my first book boyfriend, I would say. Do not confuse it with Aaron Warner, but yeah, this was Aaron Blackford. He is also working in the same office with Catalina, and they were competing for the same promotion, so hence that's where the rivalry came. But yeah, so Aaron overhears this conversation and he decides to jump in. Spoiler alert, he obviously was in love with her. I mean, it wasn't shown, but he had this cutesy bitsy way of taking care of her and letting her shine in her own way in the office. So yeah, the silent loves. But yeah, so yeah, they soon decides to fake date in front of her family, and soon the thin line between fake and real vanishes soon. So it was a very cute read for me. A good book if you want to get back into reading. Also, it was the first book that I started annotating. I'm not sure if you're able to see, but I started annotating it. I was someone who couldn't write in my books because I was very scared. I don't know why, but maybe because I used to get books from the library, so I couldn't annotate them or mark them from my pencil or pen. So I adapted the same habit when I grew up, and I wanted to annotate certain quotes, so I started putting sticky notes. And the first time I annotated them, I used those sticky notes that we used to get in our projects or something. It was disastrous. But later on, I replaced them with transparent sticky notes. They were easy. I don't remember nowadays when I put annotations in my book. I put sticky notes here. And so I remember which sticky note I'm using for which, highlighting which part. But obviously, I have not done in this. The cute dedication for this book is to those chasing dreams, never give up on them. We are not quitters. You hear me? That was very but yeah. Okay, so it was an easy 5-star read, a must read. By this book, I started increasing my pace, and I was able to finish this book in 2 days. Pretty good for me because I was working as well. So yeah, 2 days are good for me. So for my fourth book, I'm going to pick up a book which is very, very special. And on days when I'm not feeling bad, I'm not feeling good, I go back to this book and I just reread it. And by this time, I was getting pretty good at my annotations. So it has more annotations. And the book is The Kiss Quotient by Helen Hoang. Okay, I have read more than 120 books ever since that, and a major proportion of them were romance books. But if I have to pick a couple, if I have to pick my favorite couple, Stella and Michael would make the top 5. I would not tell at which pole position they would be. Sorry, I'm an F1 fan, so obviously pole position. I am not going to say at which pole position Stella and Michael would be because I have my other favorites as well. But they do make there. They do make it. So yeah, this story follows Stella and Michael, and I have never read a book with characters which are totally opposite and from a totally different world, but they meet, they get connect on a very deep and personal level and fell in love. So Stella is an introvert, a woman with autism, or an autistic woman, and she actually lives her life pretty normally, but her mother usually barges in, her mother forces her to date someone. I think she was living a pretty cool life by herself. I mean, I'm an introvert as well, so I think that was a very cool life. But yeah, by due to her constant, you know, pokes by her mother, she decides she was not good at dating because of her shyness. So she decides to ask for Michael's help. Okay, Michael was a service that she hired. I would not name the service, but yeah, she asked Michael to help her date someone from her office to help her push her out of her comfort zone. And Michael agreed to it. They got into a sort of an agreement that they would fake date each other for a certain time, and Michael would teach her how to get out of a comfort zone, among other things. But yeah, so so they are the tropes. Obviously, they start fake dating, and the tropes that I would give to this book would be fake dating, opposites attract, and a sort of a forbidden love. Like they were coming from a very different worlds. Like Stella was a very intelligent, smart, successful corporate woman kind of vibe, and Michael was struggling on his own. He was belonging from an Asian family with lots of sisters and an ailing mother. So obviously he had enough of his responsibilities and burden, but together they found a very cute world, and it was a very easy 5-star read for me. I do give a lot of 5 stars for my book, but this is a totally worth it 5-star read. And it was also a pretty easy read. This is a very small book, so if you're looking for a book which would be a good addition and fast pace for your good read good goals, so you can definitely read this book. Yeah, so these were my 4 books that got me back into reading, and I absolutely love them. I hope you also get inspired. Some of you might get inspired from my this reading list, 4 book reading list. But let me know in the comment section which book got you back into reading or get you started into reading. Up until then, see ya. Bye bye.